Shoot him.
Good dog!
Episode 2.
Consistency is key.
Yes, so we're going to be ripping out a lot of these, and the plan is to actually have quite a few banked because we never really know what life throws at us, and we'd really like to post once a week. So
yeah, where we're going to be, where you're going to be.
Yeah, I hit the road next week, so I have a pretty good run down to Arkansas and going to be floating around down there for a while. Got some really fun and cool and exciting things to do there, and it's actually going to be great timing because of weather. So shout out to the southern guys, like they need a push of birds, and I think they're finally going to get it.
Yeah.
So the consensus down there is it has not been the season they were hoping for quite a while. Very strange winters, and now like even up here, super cold, no snow again. Just weird little flurries, and like honestly no snow in the forecast at all, like looking forward, which is a bummer because I got some shoots lined up that like I need snow on the ground.
Yeah.
So I'll have to wait on those, but yeah, I mean, even the weather that a lot of the country's getting right now is like completely bypassing us. Missouri, Kansas, of course out west, but like getting potentially like 2 feet of snow here in the next couple days, and
crazy. And northern Wisconsin's getting nothing.
Normally us. I know like the parts of the UP got a lot of snow early on in the year. And not just obviously lake effect. But we've 2 winters in a row now. Like, I mean, we've been seeing grass yet.
It's really interesting actually.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
I think I mean, even to just relate it into duck hunting a little bit, like it's the last 2 years weather-wise been super strange, and the last 2 years duck hunting has been super strange for us too.
Yeah, very.
Just the way the way the birds are moving, the timing of them showing up. You know, it's kind of been a little bit strange, but you know, we still make the most of it.
Yeah, we have to. I mean, we get maybe one good push if we're lucky with this type of weather.
Yeah, if we're lucky.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the case even like last year, like this past season, we only really got one really good solid push of like northern birds.
Yeah.
And then they kind of trickled out, and we did get some more, you know, sporadically, but it was a lot tougher to find birds.
Yeah.
And it seemed like the popularity of hunting is increasing up here.
What year did we hunt with Easton? Was that 2 years ago, or was that last year?
I think that was 2 years ago, and that was
really good hunting.
That was probably one of our better seasons. We had early pushes of birds like in mid-October all the way through November. It was consistent, like if not every week, every other week we had new birds. Where like we could consistently hunt the same bodies of water if we wanted to.
Yeah.
Where this year we had to, you know, spread around a little bit and, you know, search for birds. And last year I was all over the damn place.
We were a little bit this year too. I mean, we had to be. The few numbers of birds that we were holding, they became so stale, and
well, you can only hunt the same birds so many times. And
I go out there to that same place and get frustrated.
Yeah, and when there's not a ton of birds around, and it seemed like a little bit more hunters this year.
Yeah, I think that's kind of on the uptick too.
Yeah, which is great. I love to see it. But when there's not a lot of birds around and there's more hunters, like
we met some really nice people this year.
Yeah, the birds we do find though, odds are somebody else also found them.
Oh yeah.
So it's
that
not
happened to us pretty much every time we were on a good.
Yeah, a few years ago, like I was running all over the place. I mean, there were days in between work and stuff. It would have been 2 years ago. I was putting on a few hundred miles a day and in and out of water all day long to look for ducks, and never bumped into anybody.
No.
And now this year it seemed like pretty much every hunt we were, sharing a body of water with somebody. Even, I mean,
Yeah.
there's obviously plenty of room everywhere we go, but, it made it, you almost had that opening day feeling throughout season.
Yeah.
The entire time of like, okay, are we going to be first to the boat? Because, there's some popular spots in this body and we would really like to sit one. And there were, honestly, there was a couple afternoons I think that we got out and like, just because that's all we had for opportunities, and with it being super cold and birds weren't flying until typically late in the season, that we just give an afternoon a shot. Let's get out there at like 11 o'clock and sit the afternoon, and somebody was sitting there all day long.
That one afternoon that we went out, we pushed hundreds out and we were so upset. You were so upset. And it was just like a movie. They came right back. That was perfect.
Yeah, you hate to bump them, especially if you feel like they're roosting there.
Yeah, I mean, we sat where they were.
But what else do you do? I mean, we kicked them up, and we weren't gonna initially sit there, and we did, and yeah, I think what we ended up at that afternoon was like a bird shy of a limit.
Yeah. Pretty quick. It was perfect how that worked out. But sometimes if you bump them, they're gone. Like they get out of Dodge. They're not coming back. So that was pretty cool to see that they stuck around for a long time.
Well, and that tells me that was because we did go out in the afternoon, and I don't remember if our intention was to hunt or if it was just to scout, because we knew we were going to hunt the next morning. Because I think that coincides with that next morning is when we brought Avery with.
Oh, yeah.
I think we had like back-to-back really good hunts. And then it was just a switch of wind, so it would sit somewhere different, but we knew the birds were there. But yeah, that just tells me like we bumped birds and they came back like they were probably new birds.
Well, and then they stayed for weeks.
Yeah, and they finally found some food.
Yeah, that was...
Because that's really all we have for a food source here is rice.
Yeah.
I mean, and then whatever they're milling around on water and marshes and stuff the way it is, but like a good solid food source, like we don't have the corn, we don't have the milo, we don't have, the wheat, we don't have...
No, we don't have that here.
We don't have a lot of egg. We do have a few areas, and honestly, this year there was a couple spots that were holding some geese at times, but like we don't even get a lot of geese. We shoot a few a year, and it's always on water.
Yeah, there's one pond that fills up, and private pond. But
yeah, it kind of, and then it just coincided with, arguably, I mean, we can agree our favorite hunt of the year.
Of course, watching that happen, and Avery watching that happen, it was wild.
Just how interactive she was and excited, and
anyone that has brought a young child into the outdoors understands exactly what we're trying to explain right now. At 3 years old, she's hooked.
Yeah, she loves it.
She's hooked to fishing, and when it's ducks, she's into ducks.
And she's like, honestly, even, well, I mean, she'll be 4 in March here, but knows species of ducks.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've given her, honestly, like $100 acrylic calls because I just don't use them anymore.
Yeah.
And she's blowing the hell out of them.
Yep.
And, it's honestly just keep her in, and I think that's important with kids. It's just to keep them into it, keep them active with it, keep them excited.
Yeah.
And of course, anything that makes noise right now, like you throw a duck call in her mouth and she's just going to blow the hell out of it, and doesn't sound necessarily like ducks or anything, but she's having fun, and that's way beyond the point. I mean, we can throw a whistle in her hand and let her blow on that all day long if she wants. I mean, especially lately, last few years, I mean, the pintail and the widgeon that we do get now,
Yeah.
A lot of gadwall this year, by the way. But
tons of gadwall. And, the year I'm thinking about with Easton, man, did we get balls of widgeon. Holy goodness. Which it's interesting to see, like, every year the change in that. Because you'd think, for somewhat, you would see, the same species of birds. But, I mean, one year we got filled with redheads in our mallard holes. And it's crazy to see. We didn't have a lot of divers this year. Even the big lakes, they did not fill up the way that they normally do.
We get early season. We always get a giant push of ringnecks. Like sometimes we'll be sitting there and it'll be thousands and thousands. Like in years past, we're out like the prior weekend or like a few days before opener, brushing in blinds and setting stuff up with previous places we've hunted, and here they come.
Yeah.
Midday, and they're just filling in, and they're all ringnecks.
I know that it's ridiculous, but it's so much fun those early mornings where you can literally pick them out of the sky and they're falling into your boat and you're running them over and there's nothing you can do. But it is so cool to see that number of birds show up and it gets the blood pumping. And even though they're just ringnecks, it's like, oh shit, we got to push. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, we got footage out to find it, but you caught one.
I know. And then I was like, see you later, buddy.
Yeah, and I mean, especially when it's early in the season, I mean, you're trying to make sure you get to your spot. You're trying to be there early, and all of a sudden you bump into a big raft of ringnecks, and then there's been some times where, we hunted the day before, and there's just not a lot, wasn't really a lot around, so you just like, well, we have nothing else to do, let's go out.
Yeah.
And then we get on the body of water that morning, and it's just pure chaos.
Oh yeah.
Mallards and the gadwall and everything we're kicking up, and
well, and there's really no way to know. Like, we don't realize that we're gonna get through that big push of mallards until you're on them. And people will be like, don't fly through the roost. Well, buddy, the roost is different every morning, and every time we get to push those birds, if they're new, they don't know where to be. And we have no idea that we're gonna drive over 500 mallards until it happens.
Yeah, especially when it's pitch black and the rice is 5-6 feet tall.
We're going to our spot that we've always been to, and all of a sudden, holy crap! I mean, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, and it's they
most of the time they get up and sit.
They sit back down. But yeah, I mean, there's main channels to stay in, and kind of creeks that even run through our marshes that it's flooded mill ponds, and it's flooded impoundments, and just big rice flats basically, and that's
what we hunt.
That's what we have to hunt up here. Like I feel like if you don't have some rice on some water or something close, for them to loaf on and roost on, or back and forth kind of a deal, where they're hopping bodies of water, or there's some creeks that are close and some rivers that have some rice. But other than that, like, you get a couple hours south of us and it'll change.
Oh, big time.
And that's what's been kind of shocking with seeing the variety of birds that we've been having. The fact that we're getting widgeon, which are like notorious for loving wheat and milo and being out in the fields, and obviously our mallards and even pintail. I mean, for being like, we are far northwest.
I was just going to say that, like, we are not Green Bay. We're not central Wisconsin. We have no fields. Like, very, very, very few. Yeah. We are water specific, and we're in the very northeastern corner. Like, we're right on the border of Michigan. So there's no fields here. Like, if they're not feeding on rice, they're not here.
Yeah, it's a different type of of hunting. There's plenty of fields to hunt, like down in Arkansas and stuff, but a lot of them are generally flooded.
Yeah.
The dry field hunting is hit and miss. Like, a lot of guys are pursuing that now. By the sounds of it, people I've talked to down there trying to stay on the specks and snows just because there's no ducks. But a lot of guys, I'm sure, down in Arkansas, Missouri, Mississippi, they can kind of align with that. Some of them southern states that it's all water as well.
Yeah.
They get into the timber and they're running boats, and I mean, that's the majority of their year, unless that they're traveling or getting away from home a little bit.
For sure. There's no scouting by binos, by driving around.
Very
I think
few.
We talked about that last time. You have to get in the boat all day long, or you're not going to find the birds here.
Yeah, you're putting hours and miles
in the boat.
Hours on a motor, hours in a boat, miles on a truck. Lots of gas.
Yeah, you're not going to see these birds from the boat landing. They're 4 bays back, tucked in the corners, and unless you're ambitious, which honestly, for quite a few years, we were around here the ones that really took it the most serious. I mean, you had your opening weekend 5 trucks at the boat landing, and then everyone tapered off, and that was it. And I remember years that we were the only ones that teal hunted. And this year there was 4 or 5 boats or trucks at the boat landing for teal season. And I'm like, what in the world is going on? But a few more people stuck it out this year, which was good to see. We met some really good people.
Yeah, I mean,
so there's some diehards like us over here.
Yeah, I mean, we, with being so close to the Upper Peninsula, actually, I mean, literally where we're sitting right now is within 15 miles of, the Brule River,
Yeah.
and cross over the border. And we had a couple of guys that were coming out of Michigan that we were bumping into on a regular
Yeah.
basis.
Yeah, he was the one we met that was really kind. And then
Yeah.
we saw him at the very end of season.
Yep.
A day before season ended, he was out there.
Yeah, we were actually, I think we were out there. It was an afternoon. We were just trying to scratch the season out.
Avery was with
and
us.
Avery was with us. We were coming right down to one of the final stretches, and it was warm enough.
I was just going to say that.
To just give context of what kind of weather we dealt with this year. I mean, it was approaching Wisconsin rifle season, deer season, and, it was warm enough to throw a pair of, bibs on Avery, and
a
she was out with
sweatshirt.
us.
She didn't want her jacket on.
So we were probably in 40s, at least, probably for lows was 40s. I mean, we probably wouldn't have brought her with if it wasn't.
No, I put a neck gaiter on her, and she told me she was too warm.
Yeah, so just strange, and we were still holding birds, but man, I think it was just
We never got a good push, and
they just stayed. And some trickled in and some trickled out, but I don't care who you are. If you're trying to hunt a body of water, and there were several bodies of water that we'd moved to, and they were all holding a couple hundred birds. If real birds see a raft of a couple hundred mallards milling around and going crazy and jumping around and flapping their wings and feeding and doing the thing,
they're gonna pick them all day, every day.
They're gonna go
week,
sit with them, and you're trying to call traffic, and you're trying to do something
Get
different.
a single to
and
pull off.
It's like, do you throw everything that you have for decoys out in the water? Do you not? Do you just stick with a pull cord and something? You know what I mean? And that's like the game that I love to play when it comes to ducks, is just
figuring them out.
More motion. Let's pull the spinners out, and even to the point this year, knowing, I mean, we're sitting there about ready to pack up, and we know there's birds, and have seen birds move through and stuff, and they'll be sitting a couple hundred yards away from us, and there's nothing we can do to throw the drone up and just watch them.
Yep.
If you want to see what birds do, watch them from the air.
Yeah, it was crazy to see.
It was just, every year they act a little bit different. Our water situation this year was drastically different.
That was wild.
Where we typically start for opener, we could not
complete
even
mud flat. You couldn't get close.
We were at least a foot low on water, and I don't even know if we got back to regular water depths by the end of season. It was close.
Got better, but we
that
still
September and October was very, very dry. And then there were weeks where it did nothing but rain, like our spring was.
Yeah.
And that was something, looking back at our spring and throughout the summer, early part of summer, it rained 3-4 days a week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're going to have a banger duck season because we're finally going to have water. We're finally going to have rice. And then I think what happened there is actually talking to that guy we met out of Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
He works for, I want to say the Michigan DNR or something, or he's some sort of a biologist or wetland specialist or something like that. And he brought up a good point of that varying water levels, we'd get a little bit of rain and it'd settle, them rice sprouts weren't able to, get to the surface long enough, and then
they drowned.
We get more rain because even our rice crop this year was bad.
It was horrible.
There was typically, like you said, we've had mornings in the past where some of the places we go, we know we gotta stay on these tight channels. I mean, it's open water technically, but it's just all rice, and it's 4 or 5 feet higher than the surface, and it's loaded with ducks, and you just can't see them.
Nope.
So you're trying to stay on your course of where you need to stay, and the open channels, and where the rice isn't growing. And this year there was very, very little. It was the shallow bays. It was
crazy,
very strange, but
yeah, he made a good point that it actually drowned them. We got too much rain for the rice.
It could just never get above the water, above the surface long enough to basically breathe and get the sunlight it needed, and to continue to grow. And so it's just, again, weather. It's
but even talking to Ben, they didn't get what they wanted either up in Canada.
Yeah,
they never got their
push,
big push that they always get. And I know they always have good hunting, but
Canada's Canada. They're going to have some bangers on a pretty regular basis.
But when you do it for a living and you know that you never got your big push, I mean, that was good information for us. It's just no, guys, we haven't even gotten our push. they didn't have the season they wanted either.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's the general consensus for the majority of, honestly, like Wisconsin, Minnesota.
Yeah.
North Dakota had its ups and downs, which it always does. There were some really good spurts out there, and, there's been some good hunting throughout the country now, and it seems like there's kind of a stalemate of where birds are hanging out now, and I'm sure they're further north than people think. I mean, we can go 2 hours south and probably find all the ponds that are in the cities
And
that
our
are
rivers
loaded.
are still open.
Yeah, to be honest, if we were actually still able to hold ducks,
We
we
would
be.
go somewhere.
Yeah, what I mean up here is like if because of the open water that we do have, if ducks never had to leave, like they wouldn't have.
No.
We'd still be holding some here even.
Yeah. We just don't have that food source when everything freezes out.
Well, and that's typically the issue we run into is our season typically comes to an end before the actual finish date
Yeah.
because it gets too
We've been
cold.
froze
and,
out.
Yeah, we're busting ice the last couple weeks until it gets to a point where we're when you're dealing with 7 inches of ice on where you're trying to hunt, like forget it.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just an interesting topic, and it's kind of brings me to like that current survey that you actually got in the mail. That there's actually some pretty big discussions within Wisconsin. Nothing's going to change for next year.
No, this is all future planning.
It's going to be too soon, but actually like moving, because we have a northern and a southern zone for Wisconsin, and actually moving the zone line, because right now it's honestly really far south.
Yeah.
I think that southern zone is a little bit far. To where, to be honest, like I said, like we could go to Green Bay, Appleton, and probably find ducks right now.
Yeah, for sure.
And for a lot of those people to finish when we do is like, kind of a bummer. And I get it; it's been that way forever. I mean, there's talks of changing.
Yeah, they're
the
doing
dates.
it right. They're considering it all.
And there was like 2,000 surveys that went out. I think it was something, and it's a very comprehensive survey. Well, like even when I went through it, I mean, like trying to ask you like how much money you think you spent.
How
and
much money did you spend on decoys in 2023? How many shotguns did you buy in 2023? How many miles did you put on your truck in 2023 scouting? How many hours did you put in scouting? I mean, it was kind of interesting to see like how in depth the survey was, but then they did ask a lot of questions about timing of season and if we should have a split in northern Wisconsin, if we should get rid of the split altogether, opening dates. Should southern zone open the same time as northern, or should that be split up? They're also considering getting rid of like the Mississippi zone,
just having its own, right? Or merging it.
merging it with the southern zone.
So I think for ducks it is already merged for the most part, and I think geese
Oh.
it's separate from
I
what
don't
I
know about
understand.
that.
But I'm not. But
We've
then
never went over there to, know about that, but we should.
Yeah, we've always
We
talked
say we're
about
going
it,
to,
and then
but-
it's like when we want to leave, we get to push birds.
Yep.
We should probably just stay
Yep.
because we know
There's
how
something about hunting from home.
Well, and we know what we're doing for one. We know how to hunt them, and of course, there's an unknown when you're going to new places. Especially the Miss. Like,
That's
I got to
something
spend
new
some
for
time on
us,
it.
yeah.
I got to spend some time on it this year for work, and it's easy to underestimate it.
Yeah.
Super easy, especially late in the year when it's cold and you're dealing with wind, and then you're dealing with a lot of people, and you better put a full day in ahead of just running around, taking your time, figuring it out. And
That's the hard thing about taking that trip is we need to add an extra day and a half to it just to figure it out before we go hunt. I mean, we're not showing up Saturday morning just going, "Oh, this looks good."
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
but with Avery, sometimes it's a little bit harder to leave on a Thursday and then rely on somebody else. And but we'll do it.
yeah, I mean, we generally have super supportive parents and people in our corner that allow us to do that on occasion.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I'm glad there's conversations being had. Do I think anything's going to change? I don't know.
I think
It's tough.
They're obviously looking into it.
I think the general consensus they're going to feel, depending on where a lot of these surveys went, is probably going to be very similar across the board. I think that southern zone should be bumped up a little bit. I think the talk was like the alternative was like 64, right? Bumping it up to 64, which I think honestly wouldn't be too bad.
What is that?
There'd be parts. I mean, so that's Anigo to Mountain and all the way over to.
That doesn't give much of a northern zone, though.
Oh, well, the problem is, I mean,
Most of the
shoot,
state would be fake.
running back across to New Richmond and stuff, taking 8 across like you were all winter long. I was seeing geese
Yeah.
and ducks, and the rivers are open and stuff. So there's an opportunity there, but of course there's going to be areas south of 64 that are going to freeze out and they're going to get cold. But you go straight south of us, I mean, maybe they bump it down to 29. You know, maybe
Yeah.
a little bit further south.
That would make sense, too.
And then there was even talks of having like 3 zones, having like the bottom, like all the way across the state, like the bottom 1 or 2 counties, like just a small little zone,
Yeah.
which I could see too, but I think that's now you're just creating too much.
Yeah.
Because now you're really having to play with dates, and to keep that bottom zone, and the intention of having that last zone would be to have a longer season for those guys down there, so they'd have to start much later,
Yeah.
which I'm sure for them, they probably would appreciate it.
That'd be an interesting topic to hear from people on. Like I would love for this thread to blow up, because I want to know how they feel about it, and do they enjoy the
Every
week
single
split.
year you get on like the Facebook communities and stuff, and everybody's like, no
Pissed
birds, no birds. They're going to be here before, after season's over and season closes, and look we just got to push of birds. And it's like, I get that, and that happens everywhere. It doesn't matter what state you're in, it's going to happen. Because it's just weather dependent. You have your birds that are on a schedule, of course, but we depend on weather so much, and our weather's been strange again the last few years. And but I also think like there's birds around, guys. Put the time in.
Well, yeah, like we just said a couple of minutes ago, you can't go with the binos to the boat landing and tell me that there's nothing around.
Yeah.
How many people messaged us this year going, no birds, no birds? And I'm like, buddy, they're everywhere right now. And you know, that's up to us, and that's thanks to us for actually scouting by boat. But I mean, they're here.
And we have no problem sharing a blind, sharing the boat and getting out there with some people. And looking forward to doing that more.
Yeah.
And I think there's an opportunity that can kind of come with doing something like this, is just being personable and letting people know what kind of people we are. And, we're addicted. We love it. We're diehards. If we find people in a community that kind of align with values on that front, like, let's link up, let's, you run around and find your birds, and we'll run around and find ours, and we'll see what looks good, and we'll trade hunts, and we'll do the damn thing and have some fun and share the blind and share stories and have a good time. But we also know we put in a lot of work, and people know that.
Yeah,
and we
they
do
do.
have people that reach out to us and are curious of what we're seeing and what we're
Where are
finding.
you killing those mallards?
And it's like, so,
Come on.
and it's tough.
That happens in fishing, that happens in duck hunting. I mean, there's the people that just want to find out. Maybe they don't have the time to scout. Maybe they don't have the
And I can sympathize
way
with
to
that.
scout. Like, there's some people that are going out in kayaks. You can't expect them to put
They're just going to the same
that
spots.
many miles on.
They're going to the
in a
tried and true
kayak.
spots. They're going around when they can, and they're like, okay, well, this boat landing's pretty busy. That must mean there's ducks. Like, we should probably give it a go. And what else do you do?
Well, if that's all you have, go for it. Like,
we've been
I'm
there.
supportive of all of that. But yeah, just being open to having the conversation and not just expecting.
Quick little break. Somebody's dealing with some allergies.
Always.
Yeah. That time of year, especially with this weather that's changing so much, warm then cold, and it does a lot. But to kind of jump back into that conversation, I think this would be a cool conversation to actually get out there and continue to have. And heck, people probably across the country feel it. In the majority of states of like, I wish they would make a change. And there's talks every single year in especially like Facebook communities and stuff of wishing, the season should go longer and the season should go longer, and doing all that. I think honestly for us up here, the only thing they could do is bump our season up like a week, maybe. I think a split up here wouldn't do us any good.
Start it earlier?
Maybe a week and give there a break, or start the southern zone a little bit.
Me wants them to start it later.
We can't hunt any later. We never
Well, we
can.
could have this year. We could have last year.
We didn't have the birds. We couldn't
Well,
last
right,
year.
but
Last year it froze out. Previous, this is the first year that we hunted right till the very end that we've ever really been into it. I mean, when we had the Excel and we got our Goldeneye, we were breaking ice in October. I don't even know if we got to November.
we didn't get to November.
And our season's done. Like 2.5,
What was
if
that?
not, yeah,
3 years ago?
2.5, if not 3 weeks prior to season, we're done. Because like we physically can't get a boat in the body of water.
Yeah, we tried. Mm-hmm. Beat the shit out of that thing.
Yeah, literally ruined a prop just trying to get to
Oh.
a spot where we could try to find some open water.
Can't bust through 4 inches of ice and expect it not to do damage.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you were pregnant with Avery that time. I remember we got videos when we still at Oakley of like bundled up to the core and we're running up and down the river. Mm-hmm. And that was early in the season.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's anything. I don't think a split would maybe do us unless if they wanted to bump us up and like get rid of our early teal because it's so hit and miss.
Personally,
If the southern zone
a
maybe
split would piss me off.
yeah, but there's also there is that mid-season lull. Like we have the first week is decent because we're hunting resident birds, like they've been here, and we finally get some action and stuff. But they also do feel some pressure when it comes to youth season and when it comes to early teal. Because I mean, even teal this year, we got a few teal and a couple of geese, but the majority of the birds we saw were wood ducks.
Yeah.
Mallards.
Let's have an early wood duck season.
You know, we saw some widgeon actually that were early and stuff that must have, been here for the majority of the summer. And so I don't know, did they get rid of the teal season for up here? But I know a lot of guys love it down south. They get into the river, they get down,
yeah. We've had really good teal seasons, not this last couple
I know
years,
people
but man.
that hunt the marshes of the bay and down towards the Horicon and stuff like that. I mean, they have slam dunk hunts with teal, and they do into season pretty far even.
Yeah.
We got that 10 days teal season to start September out, and then typically we're second to last weekend of September, right, is our opener. And I know guys that are getting limits of blue wings well into October down south.
Oh yeah. I mean, even us.
Yeah, we shot teal. Actually, the majority of our limit for opener was teal. Mm-hmm. Which is fine. They're good tasting little buggers, so I can't complain. I mean, even that, I got getting some really nice green wings around here.
Yeah, that's been fun.
I got a really nice green wing this year.
Yeah, you did.
Just borderline of if I would have gotten a few in that hunt, maybe I would have kept them. But I don't know. I'm kind of waiting on the next bird that I want to try to keep.
Yeah, you could have mounted a few by now.
I mean, we've put mallards pretty close to that, like that one again this year in the boat.
I swear, one you killed last year was nicer than him. He was just so big.
Well, I know I have a bird in the freezer, and I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I'm sure it's that pintail that I got.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure people in Wisconsin
We just
we're
don't
getting
see
pintail,
mature
we're getting
pintail.
But being way up in this northeastern part of the state, the fact that we're getting more than divers, because there's people that I've talked to that even in western over towards Hayward and stuff, they're hunting ringnecks all year long.
Yeah.
They're getting some teal, they're getting some wood ducks in the ponds, they're getting a few mallards that are mixing in there, but it's it's ringnecks, it's bluebills, it's mostly diver hunting. Mm-hmm. And we're, the last few years when we started to truly figure it out, I would say the last 5 years of doing this, especially when we got a nice duck boat, that was a game changer.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're getting wherever the hell we want to get. We don't have to worry as much. We're hunting puddle ducks right until we can't.
That's all I want.
And in years past, it was once the divers really started showing up and we're seeing the big rafts of redheads flying around and the bluebills and the buffies. And
part of me wonders if we shouldn't have stuck with puddle ducks because they had to be here.
I'm sure they were.
Yeah.
We just didn't know any better.
We just saw huge rafts of ducks and thought we had to go there. Mm-hmm. But now...
And your dad loves his diver hunting.
Yes, he does.
So that was kind of all you've known as well.
Yeah,
and it can be really fun.
It was only the first couple weeks of season that we would hunt puddle ducks, and then after that, you were putting the big rafts out too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then on an occasion, a lot of the guys that do hunt the divers are also killing the mallard and a goose occasionally too.
Yeah. So where we're at, we don't have a ton of big water. Now we have. When I say big water, I'm thinking rainbow flowage
That's about, yeah, and
Pelican.
the water there's been abysmal the last few
Yeah.
years too. They keep,
So the big rafts of divers, we don't really see that because that's not where we're hunting. But I was just gonna say, you know, on the pintail kick and the golden eye kick, like hunting my entire life, I think I've maybe 6 pintail up here. It like and not big numbers at all. And then the golden eye, I mean, that was my dad's bucket list bird. He still hasn't shot one, and he's been hunting here his entire life.
yeah, and I feel like we kind of checked those birds off the box and we've never really pursued them again.
Yeah, I mean,
Like we got 2 studs
on the wall.
on the wall, and that's kind of been it. We've never really like intentionally tried for them.
Well, they were in the mallard hole.
Well, the first one, yeah, the first one we got were, you know, working into a little tight little bay that for the first one, and then it's like, okay, there's some around. So like the next time we went out, and we got several.
Yeah.
Like we got pretty much a limit of goldeneye.
Yeah.
You know, we were a little bit more intentional about them. I mean, we even broke ice that day. I remember that day, and got several, and we kept one from each. We got that first one, and then we kept one dandy from that second hunt and put them together. And we've seen them. We again saw some this year, but I don't know. There's just something that it just doesn't do it for me. Like you know, working big groups of mallards.
Oh man, but being in that mallard hole, killing big balls of widgeon and nice mallards, and then hearing that whistle, oh,
Where the hell is it?
adrenaline rush. Like you knew, and you look up, and he's right there. That was
Beautiful. And he sat there and circled, and he
And
circled,
circled.
and he circled, and he finally got to like 30 yards, and just like, let's take our shot. You know, and we both unloaded, and we got him, and it's just like, and it's one of those things. It was late in the day, which, you know, whatever, typical for divers it seems, but
diver time.
yeah, I mean that's just another. Again, it's a memory that we have ingrained into us that like we wouldn't have if we weren't into duck hunting. Like, and sure, we'd be into something else, but like I don't have any memories of. You know, I heard somebody the other day, like, I don't have any memories of playing video games when I was a kid. Like, I knew I did, but I don't have, like, a pivotal moment in my gaming career. Like, you know what I mean? Or, you know,
Yeah.
like...
I mean, I talked about
always
it
outside.
before. It was my core values of childhood are all outdoors. All outside.
Yeah, it's sports for me throughout high school, like killing my
Catching
first
big
deer,
fish.
killing my first duck, catching that muskie a few years ago, you know, catching my first muskie, catching them giant walleyes that time.
Yeah.
Out of the, we were in your dad's pontoon, you know, and just shy
Were
of
we really? Oh
just
my
shy of
gosh.
30 inch, and it was late in the day there. We picked up your sister at the dam.
Oh yeah.
You know, like there's just like, you know, and then especially with Avery, like how many memories do we have now of, you know, catching the giant bluegills and catching
Like-
the crappie and getting her out and catching walleye and
I'm so like this is one of those things that I'm so thankful. One of the memories that I'm so thankful to have, but I also wish you were there so bad because we share so many of these like super important things with her, but it was one night. I think you even thought I was ridiculous. I wanted to go fishing so bad and didn't have a lot of time, so I took the kayak down to Long Lake, just a block down the road. And I was like, you know what, me and Avery will go out in the kayak, so she's sitting on my lap, and I paddled over to a spot that was supposed to be good, and we caught just a gorgeous largemouth, and the excitement in her and the look on her face, I have a picture that I'll frame one day, is just like, holy crap. She did not expect that. I did not expect that. It's just those type of memories. I hope. I mean, I know she's so young, but those are the memories that I want her to hang on to, and she's going to have so many at this point.
but and like to me I don't even like bat an eye and worry about it because she's been born into it.
Yeah.
She didn't, you know what I mean? And I feel like it's just up to us to keep her on the right path, to keep her involved, to keep her engaged. And if she gets sick of it, like, you know, it's gonna suck, but like that's a part of life
I
too,
think
because
it is
there's
a part of it.
There's gonna be some ebbs and flows of it.
They're going to fade.
You know, she's in a, you know, she gets into school and she gets that right age, like, you know, sports become part of the equation, and there's gonna be moments where it's like, okay, we actually have to run with her. Mm-hmm. I know there's ducks to kill, but she's gonna take priority, and you know that's a part of, you know, being a parent, and I'm excited about that too, because growing up a lot of my core childhood memories are sports. So I'm super excited, and it's going to be a little bit different having a girl, obviously. But I played volleyball for fun, and baseball, it kind of coincides obviously with softball, and I played basketball when I was real young, but was just never
Man,
really into it.
basketball was never my thing. I said, like, please, girl, don't play basketball because I know nothing about it.
Which is fine because to me, it's like, okay, it's another challenge for me, another
know.
challenge for you.
I know.
We can
For sure.
try to get better at something and help her out and learn. And
But now I'm really happy to see all the fishing leagues and
the trap leagues
The
around
trap leagues, like those are things that, of course, she's going to want to be into. I mean, she's into it now, and she's upset she doesn't have a shotgun. So, yeah, it's going to be really good. But one thing that I just want that makes my heart really happy that I want to say is having you and your photography and videography and all the things, like, that is going to be incredible for the future. Like, boy, do I wish I had a picture of me with my first walleye. Do I wish I had a picture of me shooting my first duck or a video, or, oh my gosh, what I would give to have those memories, and just having you to, like, document her life basically, and her growing up in the outdoors. It's so special. Like, I'm so thankful that you've been able to capture so many incredible things with us. And
Yeah, and I don't know, it's a catch-22 for me because I want to do the same. But it's also like I'm so passionate about doing those things, and I'm really passionate about, anything camera, but trying to being able to disconnect,
I know.
to not let work consume everything.
I know.
Because that's this year too of like duck hunting. It's like trying to self-film and shooting stuff for different companies and that. And like when you're being intentional, like, okay, I actually have to shoot something here. Let's take the time and let's do it. Is different than, because it's like, okay, like if there's ducks flying, like we'll do what we can, but like, we'll hopefully kill some ducks, until lighting is good and stuff. And then mid-morning, like, let's put focus on, knocking this out, this piece out and doing whatever we need to do there. And it's like I look back and it's like I wish I would have ran camera a lot more on our duck hunts this year and have more footage, because
I thought you were going to say the opposite.
well, everything is so like self-filmed. It was throw something on a tripod and let it rip. It was using 360. It was using just little stuff, and I do have some really good footage. But it's like, but then I look back and it's like I wish if I would have tried to put more effort into it, it probably would have killed my desire of like just the missed opportunities.
That's what I...
You know what I mean? And then it all of a sudden getting a little bit irritated of like, okay, now I'm focused more on work than actually just enjoying it and being present. And that's something I've really worked hard on. And knowing I'm going to have opportunities down the road to get out and, like duck season runs a long time, and it is here and gone a hell of a lot quicker than you anticipate or that you want. Which I don't know if we talked about. It might have been on the original recording that we had a hiccup on, that I talked about being fortunate, honestly, living where I do, in the sense of being a duck hunter, because once season's done here, like, it's not even good.
It's not even started.
Well, yeah, but it's not even like good quality hunting for the majority of the country.
So we can finish up season and then you can take off. You don't have to miss our season.
Yeah, we were in Oklahoma in early January last year.
I mean, think about if you lived in Arkansas, like, you wouldn't get to hunt. You'd be filming the whole season.
Yeah, I mean, they're not killing birds until November, and then they have a split, and then you got the holidays, and then, and it's like, honestly, the majority of them, I think, are probably waiting for the first of the year, because that's when the party really gets going.
Yeah.
The weather starts cooperating, and, it gets a little bit more fun, but, so I'm fortunate there because I feel like I can enjoy my duck season, and then I can step into, okay, now it's work.
Yeah.
And kind of get out there and be chasing birds and, filming people and taking pictures and jumping around. Like, I got fortunate this year to jump around and do some upland stuff as well, which is really fun, and killed a boatload of birds. And, and that's what I'm excited about too, is, again, like, stories.
Yeah.
And I have very few, like, pounded into my brain, like, core memories of me working in the woods.
You have very few?
Like, I think the majority of them involve my dad.
For sure.
And then it's like, okay, I got, like, when I got my first machine.
Yes.
When I bought the forwarder, maybe like a particular job of like, I
You
cut an
cutting behind your.
I cut an ungodly amount of wood that day. You know what I mean? Like there's a few of those, and I have some videos and stuff that way. And like, it's weird because I'll be like driving around and it's like, oh, this place looks familiar, and I drive down and it's like, yeah, I worked right here. You know what I mean? So there's that, and till the day my dad wasn't here anymore, he would do the same thing. We'd be riding around, and he's like,
I cut that.
man, I was like, you know what I mean? The first time I ran a harvester, like coincidentally was a place that it was a first thin red pines, like the first time it was ever thinned, like 25, 30 years prior to that, my dad clear cut it. It was jack pine, clear cut it.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean? So like just things like that, but I have the amount of memories that I've made and things that I'll probably remember forever in the last 8 months probably already outweighs what I've done for 12 years working in the woods.
That's amazing.
You know, just running down to Arkansas last year and running around and things and just taking in the sights and sounds and, you know, Mille Lacs and running around on the bay with Hoyer and being on the Mississippi and, you know, running around with Mike in Buffalo County, you know, seeing the deer and doing that kind of stuff. And, you know, the running around with Keegan a bunch, you know, like we actually spent the week together in Red Wing there and ran all over the place and hiked and took pictures and flew the drone and had a good time and all the laughs and stuff. And, you know, having the guy sleep on the floor here,
Yeah.
you know, we're filming up here, which
I
is
laugh,
just like,
but it's
never would I have thought
amazing.
a year prior to that I would have the guys that I do in my life and then be like doing this kind of work literally closer to home than I was working in the woods 90% of my career doing that, you know. You know, and then even you bring Willow into the equation. You know, like you know, running down, like to circle back, like doing that dog training night and shooting photos for those guys.
Yeah, and then me and Willow took off to Missouri.
Yeah, I met you guys in Missouri and took a boatload of photos down there for those guys. And it's just like, you know, my upland trip I just took and even some of the lower level commercial work I've done. You know, like my first big commercial shoot was, you know, working for a contractor, a local contractor, you know, showcasing building a home and took some really cool photos and put together some cool reels. And it's come with more work with them of, you know, showcasing their finished products and home walkthroughs and the real estate side of stuff. And even some of the nice real estate properties I've shown.
Yeah.
You know, I'll remember those. Not quite as much because it's just like you're there to bust through it and come back and edit photos and get them sent off so that they can, there's always urgency when you're doing a real estate shoot and get it done. But yeah, it's just super fortunate, super excited because it's like I'm young into this and how many memories and things I've had and looking into, you know, 25, like a lot of the stuff is like I can't get here soon enough because I'm really excited about some of the stuff that I do have coming up and already making plans and talking with people for like, you know, duck season next year, even though we're not done with this one.
Yeah.
Just trying to get ahead of the game because it's something new for me. Like I talked to Keegan yesterday about it, of just being fresh, figuring out, you know, getting my legs under me and, you know, I'll have a good chunk of, you know, work that I'll be able to present and put out there and, you know, photos and video and, you know, finally feeling like I'm finding my groove and doing some of that stuff. And it takes time and I'm excited. But I mean, it's no different than you. It took time with your lashes.
Yeah.
And figuring out the business side of things and, you know, what you should be charging.
It's a never ending progress.
Which is good. It keeps us on our toes. There's always room to grow and improve. And
I had a client yesterday ask me, so you going to give this up soon? I'm like, no, ma'am, I'm sure not. I said only growth from here. She's like, really? I'm like, yep. Like, I have no intentions of giving this up. Like, the only thing I'm going to do is grow right now.
Yeah, which is...
This career allows me to enjoy my life. Like, not a lot of careers do that. I mean, look at my family, you know, working 9 to 5 or 12-hour shifts. They don't have time to go out. Like, we've done so much because of the flexibility that I have with my schedule.
Well, and that's... To me,
that's why we wanted to start our businesses.
Well, and it's like we're into this new year again, and it's like just that perspective of like, you know what, create the life that you want to live.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Like,
It's
I know it's scary. I know it's hard. Especially me, like I'm jumping out of one career into another one, and the giant weight of like living completely differently financially.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because like I'm not bringing in nearly as much money. I mean, profitability wise, like I'm doing great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just an initial investment in the gear, and then it's just like some travel cost, and the majority of the clients are, offsetting some of that, which is phenomenal. But it's scary,
Mm-hmm.
because like you're so set in your ways of here's what your budgets are, and here's the way you're living, and if we want to go do something, we'll do it, and I'll figure it out, and now it's like a completely different grind, which keeps me driven, keeps me motivated. Like the idea of
It's
growth.
gonna be so much sweeter
Mm-hmm.
at the end of this, or at
Mm-hmm.
the, moving forward, because there's never gonna be an
And it
end.
just takes one. To be honest, like for me, it takes one person
Yeah.
to completely set my year up.
Mm-hmm.
It takes one company.
One open door.
It takes one phone call, one message. And it might take me to go do some free work and to just prove my worth.
Yeah.
Dude, like, look here's what I could do for you.
Yeah.
Let's have a conversation.
I would love to. Yeah.
Get to know me. Let me tag along. I'll show you what I can do. And like, I'm excited about some opportunities that I have coming up in Arkansas. Like my first shoot is not really going to be making a whole lot of money, but for a really like big time corporate business company.
Mm-hmm.
And now just got word last night that there's more people involved.
Yeah.
Another business, another company that's like very Waterfowl specific. That's like, let's do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I put my game face on and
I was gonna say, do your best work.
like do whatever I can
We had a good conversation in the kitchen last night about like you can sell your business personally just by being who you are.
Yeah, and I think that's what I need to do to set myself apart.
Like
And that's what
anybody can create good work, right? Like anybody can take a good picture. I'm talking professionally.
Yeah.
Like there are many professional photographers, videographers. There are a lot of people that can do it. But are they an a-hole to work with? Do they get back to you in time? Are they cocky about what they can offer or not? I think you just being who you are and being really personable is going to be something that really sets you apart in the industry.
Yeah, I think there's unfortunately like you're working in like an oversaturated industry nowadays. Like I don't want to be just known as a content creator.
No, you have to find something that sets you apart.
And I think that's like the general consensus nowadays. Like I just like was listening to a podcast just because I got the time. Like I'm really trying to soak in all the knowledge I can from like a marketing standpoint of things and how to approach brands and different companies and how I need to present myself, but then also like I feel like I know how to do that because I can be personal. I can have conversations. The majority of the people that I want to work with or I do work with, we have something in common.
Mm-hmm.
I'm into the outdoors. I'm diehard. I love duck hunting. I love hunting, fishing. Like, you know what I mean? So like we can talk hobbies all day long and be personable and we can kick it off and have really good conversations that way. But then when it comes to, and I feel like I already had a leg up because I'm coming from a business to another.
Mm-hmm.
So just being a business owner myself.
Yeah, we talked about that last
and
time.
being motivated and driven and determined and having all the right attributes to kind of, like even with what I'm doing now, like it's not going to be enough for me.
Mm-mm.
I can have all the work lined up in the world, but it's going to be like, what's more?
Mm-hmm.
Like how else can I make some disposable income? Like what can we do collectively to, make some disposable income and, or not necessarily disposable, but just like, money flowing all the time and not needing to worry about, finances and just continue to grow and live that comfortable life and, be able to do more of what we truly enjoy doing. And, and it's even you, like what's setting you apart from many of the lash techs around the area is just who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's your return customers.
People come back to you.
You don't have many that come to you and then all of a sudden they're gone. You don't see them
They go
anymore.
to somebody else.
You know what I mean?
I'm very fortunate because they're coming to me from someone else and they're becoming really loyal to me. But yeah, I think it's personality and being able to relate and
that's what's setting yourself apart.
Yeah.
And I think there's an opportunity to set myself apart, in a sense of that too, of just how I hold myself and, you know what I mean? Like push me. If you don't like my work, Don't just tell me to leave and go find somebody else. Tell me what you don't like.
Yeah, let me fix it.
Let me fix it. Let's do it better next time. Like, let's work something out financially so that it doesn't feel like it's such a burden for you because you don't like what I did for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, let's make it right. Let's do it. Like, I think if we can hit it off as a person and get to that kind of a level of, you know, camaraderie, and we can align, you know, mentally on that front of like, just be honest with me, dude. Mm-hmm. You know, even if I've been in it for 10 years.
Yeah.
Be honest with me. Mm-hmm. Like, let's work together. Like, we're a team here. Like, you know, it's a full circle deal of working with somebody of, it's just as big of a benefit for me to do the best quality work that you're satisfied with, just as much as it is for you. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's same with you.
Yeah.
You know, you have happy clients walking out the door. It's a big benefit for you because they're going to go tell somebody.
Well, that's what I was just going to say is I'm fortunate in this that I don't have to do a lot of marketing. I don't have to do a lot of social media because word of mouth is literally my life. Mm-hmm. Like I have clients pop up all the time and I'm like, where'd you hear about me? Oh, so-and-so. Oh, so-and-so. So-and-so said your lashes. And it's like, word of mouth is all I need because the experience is there. The luxury is there. Like there's many things that people talk about. And on the other end, if they're not happy, they're going to talk too. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I see that.
It, of course, that's hard because it's like you know, it's a gut punch. You're checking,
sure.
You know, you're checking your ego.
But is my schedule full? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is my business booming? Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're killing it.
Like literally every spot that I have is full. I'm working 5 days a week, all day long. Like I don't want to work Saturdays and Sundays. I'm sorry.
Well, and that's the joy of owning your own business.
I have a family at home. I want to go make dinner. Like there's so many things that people just don't understand from that side of it.
Which is okay. They don't need to.
No. I mean, if I can fill all day, 5 days a week, I'm not working evenings and weekends. I don't have to. Before I used to.
No, and it's not that you couldn't or that you know.
Like, if I needed to get somebody in, I could. Mm-hmm. You know, if the right person said, hey, I need something big, I need a favor, of course I can. But it's keeping those boundaries and keeping my hours consistent so we can, like, just keep the respect there.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I used to have clients call me at 6:30 in the morning. I'm like, what in the world are you thinking? Like, please, like, my hours start at 8. Like, let's be respectful. So, but I'm very, very thankful because of my business. I'm able to really enjoy life. And I'm able to block off a week when I need it. And I'm able to block off the mornings to go duck hunt. And
yeah, you bring up a very valuable point. And I touched on it early, just like, it takes a special kind of person, but like anybody in the world is capable, especially nowadays.
I know, and I promise she's not in pain. She's just screaming mom because she doesn't want to come upstairs by herself.
That's our alarm clock, so we got to wrap up soon.
There's so many people that I see could do it. I'm like, start your own business. Like, I see the potential in these people and how well it could go, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like there's stress. but then don't, like, to be frank, like, don't complain then about your 9 to 5. I know. If you
like,
don't want
continue to work up the ladder. If you're not happy with where you're at, but you have room to grow and stuff, like, keep pushing. Like, you never know, you could own the company one day if that's what you aspire to be.
Yeah, at one
Phenomenal.
point, I had big goals of being the top.
Yeah, be an executive building. Yeah. You know what I mean, and run that route. But like, if you're not happy where you're at and what you're doing, then what are you doing?
Change it. What did you just say a second ago? Like, create the life you want to live.
Exactly. Like, and there's nothing wrong with that.
If you want Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, or 3 weeks off in the summer, create it.
And it's going to take a lot of work. There's going to be some 7 days a week. There's going to be some 6 days a week. There's going to be missing family events. There's going to be missing time at home. You're going to be pissing some people off.
Oh, yeah.
Believe me.
The majority of our friends live that life. And
that's the reason why they're friends, because to me, it's that mentality. It's that mindset. It's that, never settle. There's always room to grow. Like, keep pushing. Yep. You never know what's around the corner. You never know what the next opportunity is. And, like, you're just going to continue to let them pass up because, like, everybody at any given point is given an opportunity. At some point, something's piquing their interest, something's come their way, something they're passing up. You have to
see it. You have to see it as an open door. And so many people are like, no. Wait a minute.
And-
Open the door for a second. Just see where it can go.
Yeah,
I mean,
sometimes
like, I would never be here if, one, it wasn't for you, obviously, but to think that I could have a lash business, what was I thinking back then? But I saw it as an open door. I'm like, my own schedule, more time with Avery, more time with my family, more time to do the things I love. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a goal for a lot of people is to, you know, in a sense, work less, make more money.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a giant, especially when you have a
But
family and you
now-
have passions and hobbies. And
You know, we were just talking about like continue to push, do more. And it's like right now, my motivated mind is telling me I have to find passive income. I want to keep lashing, but I want something. I want to see my bank account filling up on the weekends. I want to see when I'm in the duck blind, oh, I just got this much. Like, that is a huge goal that I have. And I don't know what avenue yet.
well, the both of us, like together, that is a giant goal that we do have. And
Yeah.
but there's always going to be more, and we have ideas and stuff. And it's just like, it's baby steps. I think they're potentially, hopefully, like, shoot for the stars even doing this.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, we're in the living room doing this, but like,
I listened to a podcast yesterday, Working Class Bow Hunter, and they started in like 2015 and they're on like episode 700. And that was so motivating for me when I was like scrolling through to find a certain episode about Dory. And I was like, holy crap, these people have been so consistent. They have it figured out. Like they have a lot of really good sponsors on and they're just genuine, good-hearted people. And I think we're going to get a chance to meet them. Have you met them yet?
I haven't.
They'll be at NWTF, I believe.
Okay.
But super kind people, and I love that they kind of banter back and forth and give each other everybody's shit that comes on the show, and that's
Yeah.
just kind of that fun.
Well, and that comes within the community of the outdoors. Like,
But they have
everybody's so genuine and lighthearted, and like that camaraderie. Like, you know, those are. I'm gonna have to really clean up the audio, I think, in this one. I don't know. It's just. I think that's the message to kind of wrap things up and end. Is just there's so many opportunities nowadays. Just create the life that you want to live.
Yep,
And
we're doing it.
don't settle. I know we're kind of on this bit of I wouldn't say a kick, but we've talked about it. But just you're gonna upset people. People aren't gonna understand. But just stay on your path. Continue to push. You know, and it's like create your own story. You know, protect your happiness, protect your peace. You know, and you're gonna. Unfortunately, there's gonna be some villains within that story. But like, if you're protecting your peace and you're happy with the, you know, like, it is what it is.
Do you go to sleep at night satisfied?
And of course, there's a fine line there. Like you always feel like, especially me and you, you feel like,
Satisfaction. I don't know if we'll ever fully reach it, but
yeah. Which
but we
is,
have to give ourselves some credit.
of course, and I think that's, you know, something I've leaned into this year, is just being present and learning to appreciate, because you can take things for granted so quickly and so easily nowadays. So
Absolutely.
But on that note, let's wrap
Keep
up.
pushing. Don't give up. Never give up. But yeah, reach for the stars.
Yeah, you never know.
Whatever little corny thing you want to say.
Yeah, there's plenty of those.
Just keep swimming.
Just okay, Dory.
Okay. I didn't even think about her. Okay.
Alrighty.
Talk to you guys soon.
All right, love you.
Love you.